G'day nerds. So today we're going to look at dichotomous keys. Dichotomous keys are a way for us to both organize and identify a living thing, or anything really, living or non-living. We can use dichotomous keys for all sorts of stuff in a really simple way based on our classification of those objects. And hopefully at the end of this, you'll understand a bit more about them, how to use them, and so on. So our learning goal here is to, as I said, understand what a dichotomous key is and how to use it. But also, we'll know we've done that when we can build one and also apply one that's being given to us. And we'll have a crack at that at the end to identify an object. So here's your vocabulary. If I could just get you to pause the video here and write this down into your vocabulary or into your notes, just so you've got something to refer back to as we move through the lesson. Remember, you can pause at any time and go back to your vocabulary. So here's a fun new word, and it's clades. So clades are like groups of organisms that share a common ancestor, and we can break this up to look like this. For example, at the top here, we could have humans, chimpanzees, and then gorillas, right? Humans, and obviously we've left out some apes. Humans and chimpanzees, they share a common ancestor. Um, Gorillas do too, but we'll see that gorillas don't share a common ancestor with humans and chimps. There's actually a breakdown there. And over here we'll have monkeys. Now if we come over here, so here we'll have like New World monkeys, Old World monkeys, and maybe lemurs? Yeah, we'll go with that. And so they'll fit there. And over here, our New World monkeys, Old World monkeys, we can pull those down together. And then we've got lemurs, and all of those have one little common ancestor that comes back to here. But here, we can look at and go, okay, well, here's our gorillas, and here's our New World monkeys and Old World monkeys. Yes, they share a common ancestor back here, but it's not a direct line, like they don't fork off each other, like they actually fork separately down here. So that means it's not a clade. Whereas down here, clade, they all share share a common ancestor. And these can be organized in a dichotomous fashion, which means you start here, very large group, which splits into two, di meaning two, and then here, this group splits into two based on a question, then this group splits into two until you get to the individual types of organism. So a dichotomous key. Keys are basically the visual tools we use to organize ideas, and it makes it really easy for us to identify stuff. They're simple and they're easy to follow, and that's the important part. We want to make it as, like, if we're using this in the field, we want this to be as simple as possible, and they represent a classification system. They are not the classification system, like there might be more information, but they represent it in a way that's useful for us at the time, and dichotomous keys means it splits into two options. So they start from the very largest group, like for example, vertebrate classes means it has a backbone. So vertebrate classes here, and then we can split it into two smaller groups, has fur, no fur, so mammals and everything else. And then we can split that into a smaller group, no feathers, feathers. So that means birds and everything else. And it's okay they don't have to all end on the same level. And this level here is not necessarily a smaller level than this, or not necessarily a bigger level. It's just that's a convenient place for us to split it. And they can be either diagrammatic or tabular. This is the most common. Like in high school, for example, you'll probably deal with the diagrammatic ones more often than not, but the tabular ones work really well too. And you'll see that has green coloured body. Go to question 2, has a purple coloured body. So you see all of the organisms or individuals that they're talking about there can either be green or purple, and it splits down as it goes. So let's talk about how we use them. First off, it's really simple. And that's actually the point of it. The point is that it's very simple. And we basically have one main rule. Start at the top and follow the questions down. Always start at the top and work your way down. So, for example, we have this organism here. I wonder what it could be. So it's a vertebrate, we know that because we could crack it open and see that it's got a backbone, or we could just like wiggle it and see that it's got a backbone that it runs along. Does it have fur? This little fella has no fur, so it's not a mammal, and we go down this way. Does it have feathers? It has no feathers, so we come this way. Does it go through internal fertilization? Can't tell it from the picture, but no, it doesn't. We would Obviously, you need more information that's just there, but that's fine. So we go to external fertilization. Does it have gills in the adult or no gills in the adult? And this one will have gills in the adult, which means it's a fish. Now, obviously, this is a very simplified example, right? I understand that. But it's an example for us to use. So that is a diagrammatic dichotomous key. Let's have a look at a tabular one. And this one is a bit trickier, right? Because these are all types of fish. All right. Step 1, if the fish is long and skinny, go to step 2. If the fish shape is not long and skinny, go to step 3. This is a non-long and skinny fish, so we go to step 3. If the fish has both eyes on top of its head, go to step 4. If the fish has one eye on each side of its head, go to step 5. I like this one because it looks particularly goofy, and both of its eyeballs are on the same side of the head, and that's pretty funny to me. But fish has both eyes on top of the head, go to step 4. The fish has a long whip-like tail, it's a spotted eagle ray. Nope. If the fish has a short, blunt tail, it is a peacock flounder. Now, there are lots of different ways to describe this fish, but what you'll find is they have used sections, like features of it, which don't apply to others. So, and that's what makes this really simple and step by step. But if I looked at this and I didn't start at the top, I could go, oh, the fish has stripes, so it's got stripes up there. So I'll count that as stripes. If I went straight to 7, because that's the feature I noticed, go to step 8. If the fish has a V-shaped tail, it's a squirrel fish. If the fish has a blunt tail, it's a glass eye snapper. So I'd say it's a V-shaped tail, actually. So I'm going to say that's a squirrel fish. Now you see that that's completely wrong, which is why you always have to start at the top. Doesn't matter what feature stands out the most, and you can see it standing out at you, that might be one of the ones that doesn't come into it. So here, whether or not it's got a V-shaped tail or a blunt-shaped tail, actually it's probably a blunt tail. V-shaped would be like this. So it's probably a glass eye snapper, according to that. But you'll see that up here, the blunt tail or the whip-like tail is what separates it from the only 2 options that were available at that point. Also, the fish looks goofy, and that's kind of fun. That's why I chose this one. So, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can, obviously, on any questions. And we'll see you next time. Bye, nerds.